Hello, my name is George Moore, owner of Moore's Sewing Center in Southern California, and I'm excited to start our long arm discovery. And the long arm quilting industry has just really grown so much, and I've been a part of it from the beginning, and I've seen so many incredible things in advancements in technology as well as in education. And so this is part of an event that we have actually at one of our locations in Brea, California. In conjunction with the Handi Quilter Company. The Handi Quilter Company is the largest manufacturer of long arm quilting systems. And they actually have pulled up a truck to our location, where is our event center, and unloaded. And we have several machines here, 12 of them, that people who live locally are going to take part in this event. But I've learned that many people out there want to learn about long arm machines. So that's why I coined this long arm discovery. So we're going to spend some time going over the differences between long arm machines, what they are, what they, what really makes them better for you as a quilter. But I also want to introduce two of the Handi Quilter educators that are coming here to help me. They're actually going to be running the event here. So let's go ahead and we're going to switch cameras to introduce our two educators. So we have Mary Yoder and Chris Souza. And I've actually had the privilege to work with, I think this is our third time, Chris, for you, I think.
Third time for me.
Yeah, Mary, I've known Mary for a while, actually. Mary actually was one of my employees, and I lost her to a great company, Handi Quilters. So I miss you, Mary, but I'm glad to having you here. And so let's go ahead and come on back and let's talk about what's going on today here. And so we've got a lot of things going on here, but we also have some specials, okay? So in the description, there's a link to our page, and you can purchase Handi Quilter accessories at 20% savings. And you can use at checkout the code HQ20, and they will give you 20% off. And by the way, there's free shipping across the country in any order of $69 or more. Now, I'll talk about this 800 number because I want you to know that if you contact us, it actually comes into my phone the next 3 days. And so I have people here that are experts on long arms that we can communicate. But that number, 1-800-865-9664, that's so that if you have questions on some of the products we're talking about, you want to hear some of the deals, don't forget that number. And believe me, I won't let you forget it. I'm going to talk about it many times, okay? So we're going to talk later about the machines, the specials, but we're going to really discover or explore, as I called it in another slide, what really makes a difference in a long arm machine. And so, first of all, who wants to win a prize? Now, this is something we've advertised, and we are going to do this. We are going to give away a machine that's valued nearly $1,500. It's the Handi Quilter Stitch. It's a high-speed straight stitch machine, and you can like, share, or comment. And we're going to be running this repeat broadcast for the next week or so. And so at the very end, we're going to draw a winner, and someone's going to be a lucky winner. So let's hear some noise right here. I want to see if my guys tell me if people are listening. Do we like, share, or comment? We've got some thumbs up there. So that means I have some people following us here. And it's okay to do it several times and share. We want more people to know about these long arms here. So let's go on. And why do I need a long arm system? So this is the question. Many people are on the fence. They don't know. But here is the number one reason. Are you ready? So you can get rid of the UFOs, right? So no, we're not talking about little green men. We're talking about unfinished objects, okay? So what we have here, let's go ahead and thank you. So I have this is a quilt top. I did not make this quilt top, but this could be one I made. But many of you have this. You've made tops, you've taken classes, you enjoy piecing, but that's not the whole story. The whole story is taking this and putting a backing on with batting, and you can either, I've seen my wife in the old days, she had everything pinned, so many pins, and she tried to muscle that through a machine, and it's just so hard. Or there are those that, I don't know if you've heard the term quilt by credit card. That means you turn it in to someone else. And thank goodness for a lot of people who have long arm machines that have a business and they do a great job. But there's something special when you make a quilt top. And there's something special when you quilt it yourself, because usually you're making it for someone else, and your thoughts are going toward that person. And when that person receives that quilt, then it means a lot to them. And so what a Longarm machine does for you, it gives you the ability to truly complete the process much better. And so I was talking with Mary, and Mary has a quilt to show you. And so come on in here. You can come closer here. So we'll get you in the camera. There you go. So Mary, you were telling me a little about this quilt. So why don't you describe it?
Okay, so I originally made this quilt top like over 50 years ago. I used to make all my own clothes, and I didn't want to get rid of my scraps. I sewed them together, and I had this big old piece of all these polyester pieces. So I turned it into a lap quilt, and so I ended up putting it on my Longarm.
But you did that. You didn't do that back then.
No, I didn't have a Longarm then. No, I actually had it tied to a stupid blanket a long time ago.
So I think, I think some of us wore some clothes like this. We call it bulletproof polyester. But the point is, this meant enough for you to keep all those years and then put it on a Longarm machine.
Yep.
And so that's the thing. Thank you, Mary. She was telling me that story, and I was thinking, that's a great idea. I know many people have made quilts for a reason, quilt tops. They've got it. Some of you may have, like, share, or comment if you have a few quilt tops that need to be quilted. I'm sure they're going everywhere out there. So the point is that with a Longarm machine, it makes it more possible. Yes, you can quilt on a regular machine, but it's not as easy. It's not the whole reason. None of us need machines. We want machines. We want machines to take us to the next level, because we are wanting to grow in our quilting machines and so quilting desires here. So let's go on the next slide. So what are we going to explore today? Okay, so we're going to talk about the frame. Okay, it's so important, because I hear this over and over again, people wanting to buy a Longarm to fit some old frame that they had, maybe they got at a garage sale or they have with a prior machine. The frame needs to match the Longarm machine, and the frame needs to be made by the same manufacturers of Longarm. I've worked with many different brands, and the problem is you have a different manufacturer of machine, you have a different manufacturer of frame, and a different manufacturer of electronics. That's a losing proposition. Now, again, like I mentioned, Handi Quilter is the leader in the quilting industry, and we're going to go over the different frames and the machines that they have to match it. We're going to talk about stitch regulation. Okay, so what a stitch regulator is it's what keeps your stitches a consistent size. It's not perfect. The quilting is not perfect in general, but a stitch regulator, there's different modes and reasons why you use it. There's times when you don't want to use a stitch regulator, so we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about ruler work. Ruler work is something that has grown so much, not only on Longarm machine, but domestic machines. And we're going to show you that, as well as some other accessories. And then we're going to round it out into automation. So we got a full time to talk about everything, and we're going to spend some time to really discover why a Longarm machine may be in your future. So let's explore. All right. So right here we have the Handi Quilter Moxie. Now this came out, I think, about 2 years ago, and it's really rocked the industry because it is an economically priced, high quality Longarm machine. Okay, and that's a huge advantage, because there's been Longarm systems that have been lower priced, but you find real quickly there's a lot of failure. So again, let's first talk about the frame. Okay, this is called the loft frame. Now this loft frame, I'll walk down the frame here. This is 8 feet long. Okay, and it has the option to be 10 feet. Okay, so let's zoom back here so I can talk to. There we go. So what's great about this is this could fit in a smaller room, but 10 feet actually, that's a good size. So you have the benefit here. Now, if we look at the frame closer, so let's come in here. What I love about the frames is they have this idle bar. Okay, now you may have a frame that's an older frame that doesn't have this. And what this does, this keeps it so there's always the same level to the surface of the bed of the machine. So the problem is, if you don't have this idle bar, then this rail is closer to the fabric, and you're always having to adjust it. So you always have to adjust it So because the fabric is building up. So this will allow this roll to build up much larger and work with that, okay? And so that's the benefit. Now, when we look at the frame here, let's go a little closer. I'm gonna grab this, okay? The key to a good machine is the movement, okay? So this flows, this is fingertip control. And I don't feel a lot of weight or drag in working with it. Now, with this here, the machine itself, now we're talking about the Moxie. We had the loft frame that was also available for one other model, but we have if we could bring the full scale here, I wanted to be able to talk to the people here, okay? So we have the loft frame, which will fit to the, there's also another model we'll talk about, but right now it's with the Moxie. The Moxie itself is a machine that's 15 inches of depth, okay? It has a very precise stitch regulating system, and it has a color display screen. So let's look at the display, okay? So we'll go in closer, and you see right here we have the different icons that we can move over through the different icons. And I'm going to go over to the stitch regulator here. And so the stitch regulator, you can actually look at it. There is 3 different types. There's precise, cruise, and manual is you actually are setting a speed control. And there's some benefits for that, for working with just the speed. But right now we're going to talk about stitch regulation. So let's go back to the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and select the precise, okay? And the precise, I have it set for needle up. I want it to always end needle up, but you can change it to be needle down. And I have stitches per inch, okay? So the smaller the number, the longer the stitch. It's opposite than what your sewing machine is. It's actually the way that the quilting industry has always kind of worked on here. So I'm going to go a little higher, okay? I'm going to go out of this here real quickly and back right in. There we go. There we go. So you just hold the button down and it goes. Okay, so now let's go back. Let's come back out here and take a look at this here. So with this here, what the precise stitch regulator does, it actually, when I press go on the handle, it's on, but it only starts stitching when I move it. So when I stop, it stops. Now, so this has some benefit. Now, I'm going to actually grab this and do here. So what you see here, I'm moving this, and I'm trying to, if you see my posture here, I'm trying to move where you can see it with the camera. So I'm not really comfortable in my quilting position, but you can see this machine is following it. But if I stop this, it stopped. And then if it moves, it stitches. So I can go really slow and precise. And this is why when we talk about ruler work, this is the stitch regulation system that you work with ruler work. But actually, one of the things that it also has, and we're going to stop, is the foot itself. We're going to go back to the foot, is a solid foot. The machine also comes with an open toe foot. And that would be something you'd use where you're doing some applique or stitch in the ditch and working with this here. So the Moxie is a machine that has broken the price barrier. And we're going to go over the pricing on it. And on this here, we have something that's called something that's automation called ProStitcher Lite. We will talk about that later. But I want to go on to the next machine. So we just talked about the Moxie and the loft frame. Now we're going to talk about the Simply. We're going to walk over to the Simply 16 and the little foot frame. Okay, so first of all, to talk about the frame, let's go over the difference on this. By the way, the Moxie model will fit on this frame. Okay, and this right here, when we look at it, it's more of a, it reminds me of a like an embroidery hoop. Okay, and so why would I have this? Okay, there are times where you just don't have the room. And so no matter how much you'd like, you cannot fit a 10-foot or even an 8-foot frame. This is a 5-foot. And because this is not close-ended. So if you look closer, what it has these clamps. So you can see right here, I've got these clamps. So when we open this up, we've got our backing, we've got our batting, all kind of sandwiched together. And we also have the clamps here. So I can actually just clamp this on. So why is this an advantage? Well, if you have a small area, if we look at this, see the fabric flows. So I can actually have this be a king size on a 5-foot footprint. And that's something that's really important. Now, we have Chris here to help me. We're going to go over this here. So Chris, I mean, did I miss anything on this here, on the frame?
No, the frame, it's exactly that. You can do up to a king size or any size on this.
Yeah, yeah. And there are some people that this is what they're used to working with here. But again, we could put the Moxie on it, but right here, we have the Simply 16. Now, the Simply 16, this is one step up in their line, but it's been in their line for quite a while. It's almost a standard, like a gold standard in their line. So what are some of the benefits of this model over the Moxie?
It's a heavier machine to start with.
Okay.
It also has a touch screen.
Okay.
So rather than having something where you're cycling through,
okay,
you actually touch the screen.
Okay.
And you can change it.
So we'll get to the touch screen here, but the size, the Simply 16 is
16-inch
so, a little bit bigger. The carriage is a little heavier. It's just a little more of a performance, beefier machine. Okay, I like that. So let's zoom into the screen, because let's kind of go over what the controls do. So we got a nice screen. Go ahead.
Okay, so we've got manual. You just press the button, it changes. Regulated. So in regulated, that you choose whether you want it in precision or in cruise. In manual, you set a speed, and therefore you are able to go through. Your stitches per inch can be changed here, or it can be changed on the handles.
Okay.
You can change between cruise and precision just by the press of a button. You've got your lights and your needle up, down. You also have your information button up here, so you can tell your stitch counts. So everything is, your alarms are set from the settings point.
Okay.
So it's just nice to have a control screen where you do have the ability to just press buttons.
Perfect. Okay, so I showed precise, and precise is when it stops and starts with your movement. But you're going to focus on cruise. Okay.
Okay.
So what I want to do, let's take a look at this this quilt. We can zoom in on this quilt here, and this has stippling. Okay, so again, we're starting from basics. Some people may not know what stippling are, but correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. The goal with stippling is to have continuous smooth lines and not repeat a crossover.
Correct.
Okay, so the setting for cruise, let's go back to the cruise setting. The benefit of cruise is that it never really stops. You can set an idle, isn't that correct?
It's like an idle on a car. It jogs in place. So when you hit the start button, the needle is automatically jogging at a speed that you've set, usually very slow.
Okay, so what I found is that when I do stippling and I'm using precise, sometimes I'm going to go slower, and the problem is as I slow down and then ramp up, it's not smooth. Where if I set my idle speed at a comfort setting, I can always kind of rely on that, and I become better. And so that's something that's better. So what we have here is he's going to show you some stippling, but we talked about, we're going to go through accessories, and here's one of the first accessories we're going to talk about, and this is the Echo Foot kit, right?
Well, this is one of the Echo feet out of the kit.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the foot. We got a good right there, and then there's 3 different sizes, and so the Echo means that you're doing, well, like almost like a wake, or not wake, rings in a water.
Correct. It's a good way to keep your distance. It's some way to keep a reference. So when you're doing your stippling, this one that's on here right now is a 3/4 inch. So if you want to stay 3/4 of an inch around, rather than just having to visualize 3/4 of an inch, you have something here that you can do.
Yeah.
But you can also use that to go around your appliques and things like that.
Okay, nice. Okay, so why don't you show, first of all, we're going to show you set the screen and the idle for the cruise control. So let's go ahead and pan to the screen. Okay. Okay, and so what do you have there? You have
So I have it set it's regulated still at 10 stitches an inch, but it's in cruise, and my speed is at 150.
Okay, all right, so let's look at the foot area here. Okay, so go ahead and start.
So when I hit start, notice it will start jogging in place.
Okay. Okay. All right, so see, it always goes. Okay, so I was told once too that when you are changing direction, let's say you're doing like a point, that's a benefit because you're assured that it keeps that stitch.
Very much so.
Okay, all right.
If I'm doing anything with points, stars, or anything like that, a lot of times I want it to be in cruise because I can hesitate for just 1 second, and it'll do that extra stitch. It ties it in as an anchor.
Okay. All right. So the Simply 16, okay, we have it shown on the little foot frame, but it's also available on the loft frame, the same frame that we have the Moxie on, okay? And so the benefit there is sometimes you want more than a 5 foot, you want to go to an 8 or 10, you can do that. And so we have both options here. So let's go ahead and let's switch to the next machine, okay? I'm going to head on over here. So, well, let's come a little closer to me here because when we talk about the machine, okay, machine and the frame itself. So what I have, and we're going to move this over here for our next scene. First of all, this is a 4-foot frame. I can't see a person using a 4-foot frame, but this frame could be also an 8-foot or a 12-foot. This is the Studio 2 frame, and the Studio 2 frame. We actually have the Amara on it. We're going to talk about it. And this is going to be a heavier constructed frame. Also, I love the fact that it has this kind of a take-up on the top rail, so it's easier to work with. It also has it so you can set this up to be in what's called a clear view, rather than a traditional view. And also the loft frame, we can do that as well. You also have something that's called a batting rail, where you can take the rail and put it here as a setting where you can actually get into the batting. So this is something that is better. Now, the other thing about this frame is that the carriage has like double ball bearings, like big bearings on both sides. Actually, not big bearings, they're wheels, like big wheels, and they're on a shape of a V. And there's a total of eight wheels. Yeah, so it's much durable, okay? Because what we have here is we have the Handi Quilter Amara. So this model, this is actually our #1 selling long arm machine, and this has 20 inches of space, okay? So that's a big size. So Mary, what's the largest block that you would generally do on an average? Is there an average, like a block size?
Probably 12.
12, yeah. So 20 is plenty of room.
Plenty.
Okay, that gives you room to grow. I mean, so that's an important thing. And so that's something, because you always do lose a little bit in the size of the machine because of the batting and the system. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a larger machine. We also have a faster, more advanced motor system, as well as the stitch regulator system is more precise. So we're jumping up in performance on this here. And the screen itself is even more intuitive. So we're going to go closer into the screen, and let's zoom in here. So I'm going to show you a little about this screen. All right. So first of all, believe it or not, this is my favorite feature. This is a virtual hand wheel. And so if we can do this, guys, if I want you, let's go ahead and look at the needle now. As I'm moving this up and down. So see how I'm doing that? What that does, and it will come back to me here. This is a joke I've heard. A long arm machine doesn't mean you have long arms. So you can't reach the hand wheel. We all want a hand wheel. So the virtual hand wheel gives me that control. So I like that feature here. So let's go into also the screen here. And first of all, what this has, the tension settings. So with long arm machines, they have tensions that you adjust, because one of the things that people learn is that there's different thicknesses of thread, there's different texture. You really learn about tension. And so the thing about this is it actually gives you a numbered reference that is on the tension. So why is that important? Your sewing machine has it? Well, most long arms, you can just turn that screw and you could get lost. And so right here, when we look closer into the screen, you can see when I move this, you see the change. Okay, so that's a nice thing. It also has a bobbin estimator that tells you when you are running, getting close to running low on thread. That's a lifesaver. And on a long arm machine, that's something that's not normal. You have your controls up here of the stitch regulator. This right here is the precise, and that's the cruise. You have your stitch per inch. You also have the tie-up. Now, if I go to tools, so the thing about this here is you have a lot of settings on this that you can make this very personal, because quilting is very personal. You like what you like, and you change it to your personal settings here. So we're going to go into the settings. Okay, and so first of all, we have the tie-up. So you can actually set it up because you can press that button and it'll automatically tie up where it goes a couple stitches, but you have control to make it much more or much less, or greater. And so by one push of the button, what that's doing is that it's going to be tying off so that you don't lose knots. So you have control of that, which is nice. Now, going back to the screen, some of the other things that you have here is you have the ability to change the handle controls. Now, we're going to go back to the handles because I failed to show you that. But so you have here on the handles, you have a triangle and a star. You can assign those to have separate functions, okay? So what functions would you have? Okay, so when we look at this here, when we open this up, you can have it where you have the needle up and down, the decrease, increase of speed, the decrease, increase of the stitch length. You can have it where it's left side or right side, because not everybody's right-handed. In fact, you lefties, I heard you're the only ones in your right mind. You have to control that. You also have the control on the screen. There's a laser. You can point the laser here. Now, one thing I failed to do, because we're supposed to show this here, is I want to turn off the light. Okay, so you have the control of the light. Now, the reason I did that, because when we go to stitch, this has such a bright light that the video, the camera we're going to shoot is going to have a hard time. So I want you to see we have two lightings. We have a light above the needle and above the bed, and we can control this here. So above the bed, we can just zoom that. You can see that here. You can adjust that here. You can adjust this down. And so I think that's going to be the right level for when we film. Okay. So the other thing, back to the screen, I want to show this information. So on this here, we have, I love the information about needles. And it actually, the biggest thing that people aren't aware with long arm machines, and if we want to go, let me go ahead and talk to the people here, not just the screen, is that the size of the needle is related to the thickness of your thread. We get lost. We think the thickness of the fabric has something to do with it. Well, it's based on the thread. So that chart, and we'll go back to this here, and you can see it actually is showing us what's recommended needle based on the weight of the thread. And that's a great bit of information here. So now what I want to do here is let's go ahead back to normal. Okay, and Mary is going to talk to us about ruler work. So Mary, come on in here, and we have, first of all, you know what I forgot to talk about? I wrote myself a note.
I'll let you forget.
Well, okay, so we talked about the Amara, but there's also the Forte. The Forte has the same screen, same motor and control, but instead of 20 inches, it's 24 inches, and it comes with a frame that's the next frame up that we're going to talk about here. So, but everything else is the same. So now Mary's going to talk to us about ruler. Okay.
All right.
So you want to come on this side here? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to switch here. We practiced this, right?
Yes.
We did.
So what we have on the machine is we do have the Surefoot.
Okay,
So
so let's zoom in on that.
when you're going to do ruler work, you want to make sure and use the Surefoot.
Okay, so pointing to that here, look at the foot itself. It's taller, is that right?
Yeah, it's a higher profile. Mhm.
Okay, so let's let's talk about what we are using with the ruler work. And so let's come back to the large screen. So right here, we forgot about that. We've already installed this. So
Right.
We're looking
So
at,
we have a ruler base on here, and so whenever I'm doing ruler work, I always want the ruler base on, and I always want to use the Surefoot. This helps to extend the work surface of my machine.
okay, so if I can look at this here,
Mhm.
so they call this I think they call it a quick set ruler base, and I've worked with a lot of rulers where you really have to position. This has these notches, and we've already installed on this one here, but this gives you kind of a flat surface, like a sewing bed to work with here. So the ruler base is something that with all the Handi Quilter stand-up machines that you can add to this to it. Okay, so there we go. Go on.
Okay. And so so I'm using one of the Handi Quilter rulers. These are 1/4 inch thick, and so this is what you want to work with on the Handi Quilters.
Okay, and so if I can say something here, so
Mhm.
the 1/4 inch thick, this is a long arm ruler. Okay, you don't want to use the ones you have for a low shank or even a high shank, because they will come up and they'll actually they don't go up high. The ruler's not thick enough, and so you can actually come and damage the machine. So that's why it's important that you use the high shank, not the long arm rulers, which you said are 1/4 inch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so on the machine we have, we're using precision, and I have the needle stopping down because I want to stop down when I pause.
And don't let me forget to come back and show the handles. I forgot to do that.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm holding the ruler up against the foot, and I have a couple of my fingers off the ruler to balance it. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to, and then when I want to stop, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn the machine off, and the needle stops down. Come around. Stop. So my needle stops down.
So,
Okay.
but you actually, with precise, could you just wait and position it because it's still going to be on, but you actually turn it off?
Yes. Yeah. I find that it's really better to stop every time I'm going to move the ruler.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different, actually the Versa tool, that's very popular. So you've got a couple other things on there. So what do you have there?
Yes. So we have a straight edge. So for stitching a ditch, this is great. You have another curve. This is great for orange peel. I also have an edge for a 45-degree angle. So with this one ruler, this is one of the original rulers. I think this is the first one ruler Handi Quilter came out with.
It's still the #1 seller.
It is the #1 seller. Yep.
But there's a lot of rulers out there. We're going to talk about some of the specials we have. And by the way, all the rulers are 20% off. You remember that code? It was HQ20 at checkout. But I see that you've completed some work there. You did some homework or work here. So let's zoom in on what you did. So use that tool, and you, what is that? That clamshell, right?
Yes. So I did a clamshell, and then I also did this border.
Okay, very nice. So what I'll say about rulers is that where a lot of people today are thinking about automation, rulers can be something that you can do some automatic patterns. Now you brought a quilt
Yes.
that has some samples. So let's zoom in on that here. So maybe you can describe it. Is the best view for her to hold it up? Hold it up. Okay, very good.
Yeah, so I did circles. I did this cross hatching.
Let's get a close up. So right here, you can't see through the back. So what do we have on this side right here? So
Yeah.
What's this?
So this is some cross hatching. I did piano keys. Here is just one of the curves sideways. Here is some clamshells here. But what I really like is the precision, and I like placement with the rulers.
Okay.
So I really like
and this right here, you got, so that's interesting. So almost like a spirograph.
Mm-hmm.
So is that one ruler that you turn each time?
Yep.
Very cool. So you see, you truly can give yourself some automation with this here, where you are using the rulers. Okay, very cool. Yep. All right, so now we want to talk about the handles I forgot to talk about on the Mara and the Forte. So you remember the handles have these little icons, okay? And so I'm able to control that here, but they also, you can adjust this. You can adjust them in, you can adjust them out, you can adjust them down. The one thing about it is that machines, we used to sell micro handles, which were, give you more ability to do micro quilting. Where this, I can actually turn this into, and I'm going to come around this side here. There we go. There we go. And then this way right here. So you can see that's fully adjustable. So this system is very, very versatile in what it does. And that's why it's our #1 seller, okay? And so, but now we want to go on to the next frame and the next system here, okay? So right here, so we have the Gallery 2 frame. This is the most sturdy frame. It's the one that comes with the, we talked about the Forte, and the Infinity. We're going to talk a lot about the Infinity. That's one of my favorite machines. I know, Chris, that's the one you own. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. So when we look at this, so at first glance, it's heavier. I mean, much heavier, right?
Very much so.
So what's the diameter of this compared to the Studio? This is 2 inches?
These, I believe, are 2.
Okay.
I believe those are 1.5 inches.
Okay, inch and a half. Okay. So that becomes important when we go to a much longer quilt. Is that the case?
Well, it's correct. It's important also because of the size of the machine, the length, the depth.
Okay.
You know, whether it's 24 or 26 inch. So you want to make sure that you've got the right frame, sturdy for the right size.
Okay. All right. So this comes 10, 12, and you can even get it 14. Is that correct?
Correct. You can expand it to 14 feet at this point.
Wow. I think I'd have to knock out a wall or put it in the garage, but people do that. Okay. So the other thing about this here is you've got, I mean, it's meant for these bigger machines. So that's the big thing. Okay. Okay. And so what we have here, we have the Infinity 26 here. Now, so which camera am I looking at, guys? I've got this one right here. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm looking here. Okay. Believe it or not, we've got lots of cameras all around here in the studio. So let me tell you this. I've worked with a lot of different Longarm machines, and I've worked with Handi Quilter. Actually, I started out with the original Handi Quilter machine. But then I was at a show and I saw the Infinity 26. And I tell you, it's like, for me, a guy that I love certain automobiles, and it doesn't have to be a guy to like an automobile, but it's just like certain things that I like. And this is like a hot rod. This is like the most premier machine, and it's faster. Okay, isn't this the fast?
This is the fastest one we have. It's 3,100 stitches a minute.
Now, would you ever go that fast?
Not often.
Okay, so it's kind of like those that have that Tesla on the road. They can go fast. They won't go as fast as but they can, right? Just knowing you can. Okay. The other thing is, it's not just the speed; it's the smoothness. One thing they described is that this machine has like a counterbalance in it, where it has actually less vibration. Is that correct?
Yes, I find that there's very little vibration compared to some of the other machines that are out there.
Okay. All right. So they describe it's like a piston moving opposite to the direction. And so the benefit there is that truly you have that smoothness, because quilting, it's part of you. If you feel stress, you will not quilt as well. So that's important there. Now, the other thing about this here is the way the screen is. Now, what we're going to do is, you see the big tablet, that's part of the automation. We're still going to go over automation. Okay, we're going to actually do that next. But what we have on this, when you don't have the tablet, you have a screen. So right now we have a virtual screen that actually is on there. So let's pull up, look at that, the magic of technology. Okay, and so what we have here, why don't you walk us through what you see on the screen here?
So this screen itself is identical to the one that was on the Amara.
Yes.
Except because we have the tablet on here, we don't have that small screen. So it's done in a virtual space.
Now, is that the same? If we put the ProStitcher, which is what we're going to talk about, on the Amara, is that the same thing on
Correct.
the Amara? Okay.
The Amara, the Forte, if you put a ProStitcher on there, it goes to a virtual screen, so you don't have multiple screens.
Okay. So the benefit of that is you're always going to the same place for your settings. When you do automation, you're going to see, you push a button, you're going to have relax. It does the work for you, but still the control. So walk through this control and maybe show us some of the features. Every machine that we are talking about, the next model up has everything we talked about before. So we're building upon it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So maybe go through some of the uniqueness of this.
So one of the nice things about this is the Infinity does have a camera also,
Okay.
which is amazing. But just with a touch.
Is that for selfies?
No, it's not for selfies.
Okay.
But it's to make sure that you're stitching underneath your quilt.
I know that for a fact, because I have made a mistake on quilts, and I realized not until quite a ways on that I didn't have it threaded right, and I had this beautiful fringe stitch on the back, and you have to go back and cut all that
Tear it all out,
yeah.
redo it.
Happens to the best of us.
So here you've got all the same controls. So you've got manual and regulated, your stitches per inch. These are your tie-offs. The Infinity has a thread cutter, so you actually have the ability to cut the thread by pressing a button.
Okay.
You have precision and cruise. Your needle up, down.
Down. The next thing I can just
This is
Chomping
your
at the bit.
tension.
Okay. All right. So what's different about this tension, where the other one, the reference, when you turn the dial, it's referring to referring to where you have the dial. This actually is electronically controlled motors. A motor that
It's electronic set tension.
Yeah.
So when I press this button, it comes up with numbers. So those are presets, or I can change my tension just by going up or down.
I forgot about that feature. So the presets. So let's say you're working with a certain thickness of thread. See, that's the thing with quilting. This is your art, okay? And thread is like your paint. And so certain threads give you different results. And so a thicker thread has a different tension than, let's say, a finer thread.
Correct.
Okay. So if it's something that you know you're going to be doing for a project within a project, or you do a lot, you can save that. And even after the machine's turned off,
Those presets are always going to be what you set them.
nice. That's a nice feature.
So it works out really well. You've got a bobbin minder here, so it will count down how much thread's
Like
on the
an
bobbin.
estimator. That's what
It is, and
it's pretty accurate.
They talk about it in units rather than in feet or in yards.
Okay.
So it's in units, but it is really accurate because you would set that with a full bobbin to start with to record it.
Nice. And then what was you were telling me about the lighting on this here, okay?
Unlike any of the other machines, this has amazing lighting also.
Yep.
So we have 3 sets of lights here. So 1 is the machine, 2 is for the needle, 3 is at the handles. So you actually have lights at the handles.
I'm coming back. I just forgot something here. Oh, your scissors. I forgot the amazing thing people love about it is the magnetic side. I'm looking at the magnet.
That is on the Amara and the Forte.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
So the one feature that this has that nobody else does is the fact that I can hit the button and have UV lighting. So the UV lights are built in. You can add them on there with an add-on clamp on, but with this, you've got UV light.
Okay. I don't know if we can zoom in on it. Why would you use that? Tell me.
So the UV lights are great for tone on tone. So if I'm working with white thread on a white back or a white top,
Okay.
black on black or whatever, it would show a lot better. Or sometimes when I'm working with pounce.
I'm looking for something. What would if we put something white there? Would it show?
Maybe you can
Yeah,
see
that's
the-
better. So now you can see it. Okay.
You see the lights?
Yeah. So you're like, if you white on white, you don't see the detail.
Very tough to see the thread
Okay.
and
All right.
what you're doing.
Okay.
Whereas when you have this, it will make a big difference.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So what else? Is there anything else on it, or we want to go on to the next foot?
Well, we can
I know we can do anything, but is there anything that was on the top of your mind that
basically in your settings, you have all your settings.
you have a
here.
lot more control?
So you do. You've got the same controls. You've got programmable handles.
Yeah.
The same as you do over there. You would set your bobbin from here, and you have a drop down, so you can set it for 40 weight, 50 weight, whatever weight thread you've got in your bobbin.
Okay.
But essentially, this is an amazing machine.
Okay. All right. So what you have on there, we're going to go to the next accessory, because we talked about the Echo foot. We talked about the ruler foot, with the sure foot for the ruler work. But now we have the couching foot. Okay. So there's actually a set of those as well. Okay. So let's zoom into the area so they can see the set. You got a set of 3. And the 3 sizes are based on the thickness of
The yarn.
the yarn. Okay. All right. So you have some yarn, some really fluffy stuff there.
Correct. This is similar to like the Burnett baby blanket yarn.
Okay.
And it's set up going through the foot. It's very easy, very simple to do.
Okay.
We actually have this set up on the automation.
Okay.
So just by hitting resume, it stitches it down for you.
That's cool. So is that the same pattern as this
It
right
is.
here? Okay.
I chose that so you could see.
That's like a cooking show. You get here out of the oven. Here it goes.
exact same pattern. Can you see that?
Look
So-
at. I mean, there's a lot of texture that adds. That's really cool.
Very much so. And it's really neat. You can do that to add a lot of things to it. I also use my couching feet for working on a kid's quilt. A lot of times I will just free motion their name into the bottom of it with a fluffy yarn, and it just personalizes that quilt to
Nice.
them.
Nice. And I think that's the key. Again, I don't know any real selfish quilters. Most people are quilting for others, right? I mean, that's what you experience.
Oh, very much so. And there's a lot, spend a lot of time and effort and money on your quilts, and many of us give them away.
Give them away. Okay, so wouldn't it be nice to be able to maybe sign your name and have a little click yarn? Or there's a lot of things you can do with that here. So, all right. So next, thanks, Chris. We're going to go over automation. See, automation. Here's what's cool about automation is that it gives people who don't have. Yeah, we're going to go. They're telling me to go in the center. What's cool about automation is it gives people like myself. I can copy things, I can work with things, but I like technology and I can be creative with technology. And I will tell you, where automation just 5 years ago was not the norm, more people are getting automation than ever before. And Handi Quilter has two systems of automation. One is the ProStitcher Lite, which is brand new as of I think 2020, 2021 it came out. And then the ProStitcher Premium, which is the flagship in the industry. And what's nice is that it's a lot more affordable than you think. And so first of all, I'm going to come over back to the Moxie, because on the Moxie, we have the ProStitcher Lite, okay? And so with this here, this is actually attached to the machine. It's a separate purchase, but it's not just the tablet. What I like about it is the tablet is made only for this, okay? And you don't even use it for anything else because that's what's good. That's the problem with a lot of automation. You're using something else, and there's all kinds of problems like Windows updating when you don't want to and things like that. So this is really cool. It's dedicated to it, but it's not just the tablet. There's actually, I call it a robot. It's a built-in robot that's attached to it. So it's moving this, so it's perfect. And so right now we have a design that we're gonna basically, let's come into the screen and I'm gonna press run, okay? And if you look here, it starts running and it's gonna basically stitch. I probably should have turned the light off on this one here, but we'll let it stitch a little bit. You're able to see it. And what I want to do is, because we have still a lot more to see, this is like a cooking show. I'm going to pause. Okay, it stops. And the finished product, let's zoom in on this here. That was and it has, Chris, I'm going to yell across here. How many patterns are built in? I know there's a lot.
Yeah, on the ProStitcher Lite, I believe there's a selection of a few hundred.
Yeah, and there's lots available here. So
a lot more on
okay, all right. So now let's swing on over. That's ProStitcher Lite. Now the ProStitcher Lite, is, we're going to come back over here. Okay, we've got a lot of cameras here. Got to know where I'm looking at. It's available for the Moxie and the Simply 16, and because it works with the loft frame and the Littlefoot frame. So that's the thing. So, and then we're going to talk about the pricing. It's very, very affordable. But now we have the ProStitcher Premium. And what I like to do is I'm going to give this over to Chris. Okay, why don't you show a little bit about how you can operate with this? And I see you have a certain setup for them to show. So we're going to switch to the screen for Chris, and there we go. Cool.
So basically what I've got set up here is, if you were doing a separate border, basically I've given a corner and part of a border. And it's very simple. It's so easy to set this up and run. I'm just going to bring in a simple design. And I bring that in. So there's my corner. The corner is already set up. So now all I have to do is come back in, and I'm setting up to run point to point. So I'm going to bring in the corresponding design. Press that button. Open.
You'll see a lot of designs.
There are quite a few. Open. So then it brought that one in, and I can just repeat that across.
Actually, across the quilt?
All the way across.
Okay.
I could set that up from all those. At that point, I just need to tie them all together, just like that.
So that means it's not going to stop. It's going to do the whole thing without a stop or a tie up.
The top border, whatever I set up to do.
Okay.
So basically what I've done is I've set it up to do this design. and it would run this design for me. So many times I'll set up a separate border, and then I'll set up my inside design that I want, and it works fantastic.
Okay, all right. So I think we can zoom in. You've stitched this out ahead of time. So let's go ahead and we'll switch the cameras to this. And this overhead here. Okay, so you have this. So there's your corner. So that's where you actually had the corner here. So we'll come over here to here.
That's the exact design on the screen.
Nice. Perfect. And you can just say that you just practiced and that's perfect. And I don't think you're getting to say that. That's too good.
That's why I have my ProStitcher.
That's right.
Because it is perfect and it will do a perfect stitch every time.
Now I will say this here is that people say, oh, that's cheating. Well, no, it's not. It gives me ability to have more fun and I can create more quilts. And I've heard also say, I want to learn how to quilt manually. Well, I could learn how to use a typewriter or I can use my computer. I mean, use the technology that's there as your tool, right?
Correct. And I've had people say, oh, it's cheating. And I say, well, how did you get here today?
Yeah. Well,
and they say, well, they drove their car. I said, well, you didn't hook up the horse and buggy to ride in. So
we've got answers for everything, but it's all about fun, right? Now, this right here, believe it or not, make sure it's upside down. This is an embroidery design that's been converted to quilting on the ProStitcher. Part of the ProStitcher package, it comes with ProStitch Designer, okay? And ProStitch Designer gives you the ability to create your own designs, convert designs, all kinds of tools. So that's a bonus with the ProStitcher Premium. So that's a wonderful, again, that was one set embroidery design. And Mary, I'm going to ask you here, was it that size as an embroidery design or did you resize it? Okay. Okay, so wonderful. So that Mary did this here. Mary brings all the wonderful samples here. Thank you, Mary. And so we have one last system to talk about, and that is the sit down. So we're going to go over to the Capri and talk about the sit down machine. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to put my microphone right here. Okay, so obviously, I'm sitting down to this. This is a table, and this is the Insight table. And what's unique about it, it has these little sensors that sense the movement of the fabric. Now, Handi Quilter has sold a lot of sit-down machines. I think their #1 selling was the Sweet 16. I mean, they've had it for years. Many of people have that. And then they added the first stitch regulator. I believe it was called the True Stitch, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. And that was more of a handheld device. But now the stitch regulates built in a table, and the benefit there is that it actually senses the movement of the fabric. Now, what I like about this table, this is called the Insight table. And what I like about this, it's adjustable. The height is adjustable. You can add leaves to it. I don't have them installed there. I can add a drawer to it. I don't have it there. So there's a lot of things you can add. By the way, all that's 20% off. You also can buy the Insight table for if you have a Simply 16 and have the stitch regulator built into the table. So that's a nice thing. When we look at the screen, we're going to zoom into the screen here. It looks familiar. See, it's very similar to the other Handi Quilter products here. You've got this manual and regulated. You've got the two different types of stitch regulators. You've got the cruise and the precise. And then you have the setting for your tension. It actually tells you this tension, the needle up and down, the bobbin estimator. So really a lot of the same features that you find on that here. So what I want to do here is I have this quilt sandwich here. We're going to go ahead and draw the bobbin thread up because people are watching. There we go. Now, so what we have here, and there's different things. Let's come back to I want to talk about this here. There's different ways of doing this. When you're doing a stitch regulator, right? When you use stitch regulator, you actually are not using a foot pedal, even though there's one there. But what I like about it, sometimes you don't want to use a regulator, and it works like a regular machine for free motion. But since I have it unregulated, I can actually press down on the foot pedal, okay? And when I do that, now, if we look closer, it's speeding up and slowing down based on the movement. Now, I want you to see, now I lift up on the foot pedal, okay? So that's just a switch. I'm not using that for speed. I don't tend to use it that way. I like not even thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the go button, okay? And when I press this, it's still waiting for me to move it. So now when we go look at this here, it's using the precise, so it's not moving until I move it. I can use it for ruler work. I can use the same different accessories. I don't know what kind of design I'm making. I'm just kind of doodling. A lot of the quilting is doodling. Now, to go over the differences between the cruise, I'm going to turn this off here, and the precise, it's very evident when I come to these points here. So we're on precise, and I'm going to move this way, guys. I'm going to move this way, and then I'm going to change directions real quickly. So we're going to press go. So now I don't know if you see this, but I moved it, and that point is not as sharp because what happens, what I did is I moved it when I was in the middle of changing direction. So that's where I would use the cruise. So we go back to the cruise setting, and I'm going to set my idle. I'm going to go a little faster than like 125, I guess, stitches per minute. And when I press go, now see how it's going? So when I come back here, I know that it's going to always do a point. So it finishes it, and I can let it do a point. So I'm changing these directions. So that's why I think cruise would be a good thing to use. You still have the stitch regulation, but you can let it take one more stitch and lock that in. Okay. So that's the Baby Lock Capri on the inside table. But let's finish up and talk about some of the specials. All right, so a lot to go over, but as you can see, Handi Quilter has a very full line. Now, I'm going to just real quickly go over the models, and we'll go over some of the specials we have on it. Now, number one, I will tell you, I sell long arms across the country, and I can ship every single Handi Quilter across the country. But what happens is that the pricing is regulated by Handi Quilter. So sometimes I don't put a price because I have a price better than across the nation. So that's why I'm going to tell you, especially during this event, you want to give us a call, okay? Because there are some specials that I can't broadcast right now. And so I'm going to tell you that number again, but the number is going to come into me, leave a message, and we're going to contact you. And give me information. Tell me what kind of quilting you do, what you have, where you live, what experience you have, because I have several very qualified staff members that have been working with me a lot of years, and they will talk with you, and they'll talk to you about what you've seen, and they'll give you some advice. You may not buy a machine from us, but we want to help you. So that's what's important. So going back over the East model, the Handi Quilter Moxie, remember it's 15-inch throat space. It has 1,800 stitches per minute. It's got those nice handles, a display screen, and two stitch regulating modes. So that's the same. All the stitch regulating modes are the same on all the Handi Quilter models. And so it comes with either the loft frame, which is 8 foot. You can add an adapter for it to make it 10 feet. So that's a 2-foot adapter, or the little foot frame, which is the 5-foot frame. That's more of a clamping style. Now, one thing about this, first of all, there's an interactive app that I built. And this, you download this phone, and it gives you complete automation on how to assemble. It's so easy. But I've helped people assemble over the phone. That's how nice this is here. So it really will walk you through every step in putting this thing together from scratch. Now, the Handi Quilter has a nationwide price of $49.95. Now, that's what everybody has there, okay? But we are also offering interest-free financing, but we have a bonus if you don't finance, okay? Both a bonus in monetary and a bonus otherwise here. But you got to call us. I'm going to give you that number on that here. So there's free shipping across the country. Alaska and Hawaii, we do ship to, but there's a little extra for that. And so there's a special on this here, besides what I mentioned, where if you purchase this here, not only can you do interest-free financing or an extra discount if you don't finance, not only are we giving that price, but we're giving this ruler work bundle, which comes with the ruler, the ruler plate, ruler base. Mine went blank there for a second, okay? And it comes with the Surefoot, and it comes with their 4 most popular rulers, and then also these special stay that works with, that keeps the fabric stationary when you work with rulers. So that has a $359 value. Okay, so you got that special price, special financing, that which usually doesn't go hand in hand. We've got bonus if you don't finance. Got to call us on that, and then the ruler work bundle and free shipping, which is awesome. Okay, now the ProStitcher Lite, we have that available. And this will work with this is separate from the Moxie, but you can buy this for the Moxie and the Simply. It's $54.95. Interest-free financing, discount if you don't finance, free shipping. But another bonus on this one is that you get a $200 online spending spree to buy designs for your quilting from quiltable.com. Okay, so that's coming with this here. Now, both of these models are the models that you see this price. It's regulated across the country. But as I mentioned, there's ways to save. We've got those bonuses. But where the savings is if you buy both of them. It's so low, I would get in trouble if I told you on the air. So you got to give us a call at 1-800-865-9664. It will go to voicemail. After we're done here, we're getting ready for our Longarm hands-on event. But for the next couple days, we'll be calling people back and going over the specials on this here. So you don't want to miss out on this here. So give us a call, 1-800-865-9664. So let's go on to the next one. So the Simply 16, the benefit of this one has a little more throat space, 16 inches of space, 1,800 stitches per minute. The handlebars are ergonomic, and it has that touch screen. Okay, that's a big difference. It also has comes with the little foot frame, or you can have it with the loft frame. But also you can upgrade to the studio frame if you want to. So studio frame is going to be a little more beefy, and also the Studio 2 frame, which is what we're talking about, is 10 or 12 feet. And you can put ProStitcher Premium on, because there's a lot of people that want to put ProStitcher Premium, the more deluxe, on the Simply 16. But if you want to just put ProStitcher Lite, which is actually more reasonable, then you'd put this on either the loft or the little foot frame. Okay, so a lot of options on that one there. So again, you can add the ProStitcher or ProStitcher Lite. Now, this is one of those things, this deal can't be matched. I guarantee you, across the country, I don't care where you live, we will give you a better deal, and especially during this event, because this is a window of time that's factory sponsored. So give us a call, 1-800-865-9664. We have free shipping across the country. And by the way, if you're not in the state of California, then you won't pay sales tax, okay, which is nice. 0% financing available. Extra bonus if you don't finance. Another bonus. We're going to give you that same ruler work bundle. Okay, that's a great benefit for that there. So give us a call on that one. 1-800-865-9664. Now, we have the Amara and the Forte. So both these have the same screen, the same dual servo motor and stitch regulation. The difference between the Forte and the Amara, number one, is the Amara is 20 inches of opening. The Forte is 24 inches. So that gets a much bigger frame. What I love about it is now we get the large screen. I love the way the screen works. We have that virtual hand wheel, which from the Amara on up has that. We also have the tensions that have the sensor, so you know the setting, which becomes more advantageous when you work with the different varieties of threads. You also have those ergonomic handles that we can adjust in all different ways. And you can also, and I didn't mention this, you have a needle point laser that shows you exactly where the needle's dropping here. So that's from the Amara on up. So the Amara, Forte, and the Infinity has that. So the difference between the Amara and the Forte comes with the Gallery 2 frame. Remember, that's that much larger frame that you can even, that comes in a 10 or 12 foot, and you can even go up to the 14 foot. So that's a bigger machine. And the Amara has the Studio 2 frame. Now the Amara, you can put on that. Some people want to put that bigger machine on that little foot frame for a 5-foot option, because there are some situations where your room size, you cannot put the big frame. So we have that option. So with Handi Quilter, we have all the different ways to go with it. That's why it's important when you contact us to give us the information, give us the size of your room, what you've been working with. Let us know ahead of time so we can better serve you and find the right long arm for you. So both the Amara and the Forte has the option of the ProStitcher Premium, okay, which that's the second package, which has everything in it, and it also comes with the ProStitcher Designer. Can't find a better deal out there. Free shipping, the pricing better than what you find on the internet, guaranteed. Okay, we're also offering 0% financing and bonuses if you don't finance, and we've got a bonus package on this here that is quite amazing. It actually could be up to over $1,500 worth of accessories, and we're talking about not only with the ruler base, the rulers, but extra feet. Every foot we showed you is going to be included with this here. Also the overhead lighting. So it depends on if you finance or not. If you don't finance, the bonus grows. Okay, but you get so much with this. So all the benefits are with this during this event. This is sponsored, but also I've kicked in my own funds to make these deals the best. But you can't just sit there and get the deal. You got to call us at 1-800-865-9664. And so leave a message, and we'll be calling you back tomorrow and the next day. And our event goes on until Saturday. So you don't want to miss out on this here. Now, finally, the Infinity 26. The Infinity 26 has a 26-inch space, the largest one that Handi Quilter makes. It has a high-speed motor up to 31 stitches per minute. It's got the tensions that are controlled electronically, and you can also, remember, have the presets on it. Of course, we have even a more advanced stitch regulation system. We didn't talk about the basting, Chris. On either one of them, we got basting modes on this here. There was so much, but we wanted to try to keep it in. We're just over an hour, so that's not too bad. I looked at my clock on the wall here. So, and this does come with the Gallery 2 frame, 10 or 12 foot configuration, or you can go up to a 14 foot, which is really cool. The Infinity does have that camera. We didn't show it to you, but the camera has a view to see the bottom stitches, which is important, and it has the thread cutter, and also all of them have that bobbin. So there's a picture of that bobbin system, that high-speed M-class bobbin. That's every Handi Quilter has. It's designed for performance and durability. And then you can add the ProStitcher Premium on the Infinity 26. So this one right here, same deal, free shipping. The deals can't be matched. You got to call us though. Interest-free financing and bonus if you don't finance. But this one definitely comes with the best bonus. It is over $1,500 worth of value of accessories, including that overhead light that's called the highlight, and the highlight will be the size of the frame. So if you go all the way up to 14 feet, that's what you'll get with this here. If you only go to 10, you get one that matches, which is really cool. Okay, 1-800-865-9664. And then last but not least is the Capri, and that's that 18-inch high-speed sit-down machine with the touch screen and the inside table with the stitch regulator. Again, if you have the Simply 16 and you want to add the Insight, not the Simply, the Simple 16. Sweet 16. I got my quilting consultant, Chris, over here reminding me here. I've got a lot of things in my head right now. So the Sweet 16, that you can add the Insight table, okay? And the Insight table will have the regulator in there. But it comes with the Capri. And again, because I wanted to make these deals better than what you see out there, got to call us and I will make you an offer you can't refuse, okay? Free shipping across the country, 0% financing, and bonuses. And the bonus with this here, you're going to get the ruler kit minus the ruler base, because you don't need one. This is a sit-down machine here. So 1-800-865-9664. And I hope you enjoyed this here. And maybe we can we have our crew come over? I want to thank you. Come on over to our spot we had here because they, I'll come over there too. Okay. So let's go ahead and we can all get together here. All right. So I want to thank Mary and Chris. They worked hard helping me set this up here, but the work hasn't ended, because when we're done here, we're changing the set and we're putting up 12 long arms, and people are going to come in here and learn. And so that's what's really exciting about long arms, is that truly it's something that you never get tired of it. I mean, I've seen working with you, Mary, the last, how long have you been with Handi Quilter now?
This is going on my 4th year.
Okay, so Mary worked with Moores. She was a Moores employee going back to 90.
So, yeah, because I worked for you about 16, 17
Okay,
years.
all right.
Yep.
So I've known Mary for a long time, but I will tell you, since she started working with long arm quilting, having the long arm machine, she's gotten better, and she just, I can tell you enjoy it.
I love it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's what's out there for you. Not that you're going to get a job with Handi Quilter, although you might. Contact me first. We're hiring. But the point is that when you have something that you enjoy, you get better at it. Isn't that the case?
Absolutely.
Both
Yep.
of you. Okay. So I want to thank both of you for helping us out. Do give us a call. Remember that number, 800-865-9664. And again, let us help you, walk you on this discovery, this journey, getting a long arm system. Bye for now, everybody.